What is up? My name is Archaic and I'm back for another StarCastTV show match series. But today we have some incredible players. In the bottom left we have our blue Terran player Rush, and in the bottom right we have our brown Protoss player Best. Best is one of those players I know back from my days of watching BroodWar, an incredible SKT Protoss player. Really one of the top Protoss players for several years there, although he really never made it all the way to winning a Star League, getting second against Jelizerg back in 2008, and having some great series other than that. Really known for his PvP play, totally dominant for a time there. Rush, a much newer player. I guess he did play back on CJ Entis, but I don't remember him. Really a newer player that's really strong, but not having the best showing as of yet, but definitely a top tier Terran player. We see Best with that early scout, gonna see everything that's going on, and he is actually gonna get a quick gas steal, and this is so annoying as a Terran player. It really dictates the flow of the next couple minutes of the game. He's gonna rely on those Marines to take a fast expansion because everything is just gonna be so delayed because of that really annoying gas steal. We do see the gateway coming up for Best, slightly delayed obviously because his first 100 minerals after that pylon was spent on the assimilator. Being annoying with this probe, you see him just poking around, getting a few hits on these SCVs, and we're gonna have to see what Rush decides. Is he gonna send a bunch of SCVs to take down that assimilator quickly, or is he gonna play for more of a longer game, getting that quick expansion? We've even seen things like dropping an academy, dropping additional barracks, but those things could definitely be a little cheesy if Rush decides to go down that path. Unfortunately, he is scouting in the wrong direction, which is so annoying as a Terran player, but looks like Best wants to go ahead and pressure with the Zealot, still not dropping that assimilator. So perhaps he wants to do something like we saw in the previous game I cast with a Zealot expand, which is something super cool, not something I was too familiar with, but we do see him pulling a couple SCVs to take down the assimilator and using that Marine to push this probe back. SCV is going to make its way over to Best's base, and we do see that probe coming over for that quick nexus. So amazing from Best, using that assimilator, really going to stop Rush from being able to be really aggressive. Not having that factory tech is going to be so annoying, and we don't see him dropping anything like an academy or an additional barracks to put any pressure on Best. Assimilator is now down, and he has started that command center in base. Looks like the SCV was stopped by a probe and a Zealot. Best stopping that scout, but really seeing that nexus is all he really needs to know. It was a ridiculously early nexus, and so Rush is going to know exactly what Best is up to. Getting an additional Zealot, and it looks like he's actually playing a little passive with these Zealots, perhaps opting to play a little defensive with this before he goes ahead and just sends out another probe scout. Refinery going down, just about be completed. We're gonna have to see how many Marines he makes. It looks like he is going up to 5, and yeah, producing a lot of Marines, so maybe wanting to do a little aggression versus Best. And that command center is about done. Sending out another SCV. That's something I'm really noticing with these players. They're super active with SCVs beyond that initial scout. And here he goes, Rush pushing forward, pushing that probe back. And I assume this nexus is about to be completed. Best scouting all of this, of course, main-earning some probes and getting that second gateway. So gonna have a lot of units to be able to defend, but he will need a few units here to push back these Marines to the bunker. Command center floating over. He's now lifted his barracks, so I believe he produced 5 or so Marines, and now continuing that tech up to the factory. We're gonna have to see. Rush is really known as a starport player. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of TVPs recently. Best and Rush actually played back in KSL Season 4. Best getting the better of Rush in that series. We do see this goon popping out and gonna knock down this SCV without much trouble. Yeah, Rush's TVP really hasn't been tested all that much in recent years, whereas Best really does showcase great PvT. Yeah, really known for his macro style. Crushing through with Arbiters, and we do see a second factory going down quite quickly. So Rush looking to get aggressive here. It makes a lot of sense. Scouting that early nexus means Best tech is going to be quite delayed, and so Rush opting to try and get something going with these 2 factories early allowing him to really delay the academy, delay the armory. He really doesn't need those structures that early to defend against any kind of early tech rushes from our Protoss player. We do see the robotics facility going down, and Rush actually dropping a proxy starport. So that's super interesting, likely to get a quick dropship, and he's just putting it here really to stop Best from scouting it. You see kind of Terran players wanting to drop the back of the main. There's quite a bit of space here to run around with speed vultures, and he is going ahead and getting that quick siege mode. Super standard. Best being a little active with his units out on the map, poking at this front when that goon range does finish. It is about to finish, and getting a Citadel of a Dune, getting that observatory, so everything looking totally standard for Best coming into the mid-game here. On the other hand, Rush, yeah, gonna need to move some SCVs to repair this bunker. Minor annoyance, but that siege mode is about to finish, and it looks like he is starting those vulture upgrades, going ahead and getting speed first. It is a longer upgrade, so you do want to grab speed, and then sending this SCV to scout some more. So really active play from Rush, gonna know what's going on. On Neo Sylphid specifically, it does have this high ground third, which is a really popular place for Protoss and Zergs to expand to, so being active over here early is going to really help him to deny that base. But look at this. Best looks like he may want to take this mineral only, which is kind of surprising for me. A lot of Protoss players on the ladder that I play against do take that high ground expansion because it is a lot harder to harass as a Terran player. Poking the front, and he's actually sending the SCV to this third, and he might actually see, he's probably going to see this probe, which means at least he's going to know where Best intends to expand. Dropship on the way. Those vulture upgrades, I assume, are about to be completed. Yeah, we see mines almost finished here, and now going out with those speed vultures to get some map presence down. Nexus gets dropped. Here we go with the vultures, gonna meet up with this dropship about to pop out, maybe even place some mines out near the front. Yeah, going and placing out in the middle of the map. Gonna give him some presence of when, some sort of foreknowledge of when Best moving out across the map, maybe even getting a few hits of those mines. Observer is coming into the main, gonna scout these two barracks, and great turret placement. These vultures are about to get loaded up in the dropship, and we're gonna see what Rush can get done with his dropship harass. Here it goes, dropping in that corner. It's gonna be hard for Best, and running forward, seeing the Stargate actually, and just going in. Pretty good wall, but not quite complete. He is going to start dropping mines here. Two probes already down, a third, fourth, fifth. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of damage from Rush. Really not committing that much. Aside from these four vultures, getting some mines down. I don't see an observer over in the main yet, and he's just going to lift off and get out of there. So it does save half of the vultures. Gets about 6 probes, and only losing 2 vultures. That's awesome for Rush, and we do see him dropping the third while all this is going on. So just great fundamentals here, and here he goes, seeing a little bit of opening, is going to try and drop some vultures over here, and they are going to run into the natural, maybe even pick up a kill or two. It looks like one of them does get killed, and the second one cleaned up. Still a mine over in the base, but he did see the tech from Best, rushing up to that 3-base Arbiter tech. Super straightforward. Best super confident to play this game into the late. Great positioning from his tanks. This is something that, because he has these mines out in the middle of the map, he really doesn't need to worry too much about defending the front. He can instead defend for something like shuttle play here, having those tanks in the center. And this third is about halfway done for Rush, starting to add additional factories. I don't think we've seen an armory as of yet, so gonna have a delayed timing as far as it goes for those upgrades, the 2-1 upgrades. Which is totally fine. He is getting quite an early third off those 2 factories and the starport. So already starting to position these tanks out in the center here. Terrans really have a decision on this map. Do they go take the third mineral only and then the fourth with the gas, or do they take this third pocket expand? This third expansion is really not as valuable as it might look. And so we see a lot of pro Terran players actually opting to expand to the mineral only, because Terrans can operate on only 2 gases pretty well. They do have to cut a few of corners, whether that be some vessels or some delayed tech. But here we go. Best is ready to take this high ground expansion as his fourth. And oh my goodness, Rush! Oh, being so quick with this 4th expansion. This is a really unique style, something I don't see. Going for that dropship play to go ahead and expand to that 3rd and 4th rather than turtling on those bases trying to get the upgrades. So very different style from Rush. We're going to have to see how it plays against this Arbiter tech from Best. Best is really known for his late game as a Protoss player. So it's really up to Rush to break serve here and do something different to take an advantage, and it looks like he wants the economic advantage. From Rush, that Arbiter is already up. We see his Forge, +1 weapons is almost done, as well as second Arbiter on the way. I'm not sure if he's completed any upgrades yet for the Arbiter. That would probably be a little early, so he's probably waiting until a little bit later. Macroing up already at 150 supply with this 4th base on the way. Observer placement, look at this tank line from Rush, just spanning across this key area, starting to build walls here out in the middle. That's so great as a Terran player, just creating this endless line of tanks, mines, and vultures. Gonna be great. Best going out, cleaning out some of these center mines to take the center of the map, and this 4th is about finished. So we're gonna see these two players, this calm before the storm. They're just macroing up, getting ready for a huge fight. We do see the science facility finished now, and he must have armory somewhere by this point, I would believe, but he is going up to something like 8 factories. There's the armories, and he is going actually +1/+1 at the same time. So delaying that armory, but he will have +2/+2 for the timing. But while this is going on, Best is taking a flank here, taking the side of it. Look at that supply, this army coming in, getting on top of the tanks. The vultures are totally out of position, and I think Rush is going to have to sack this 4th base. Look at that army running up the ramp, but he's continuing those zealots. Great spread of the tanks. I don't think he's going to die at this point, but he is taking some damage. Those tanks on the high ground getting eliminated. Now sieging additional tanks. We do see the supply, really, the difference not changing. The stasis going down on those tanks, and the push continues. We see zealots running in, going to hit the side here over by the natural. More tanks being rallied, everything. The push is continuing. Oh my goodness, look at this. All the tanks are getting cleaned up. He has about half a dozen left, but Best is continuing with the push. There's just no vultures left at this point. Those zealots running in. These tanks are unsieged. Oh my goodness, I think Best just pushes through here. This is amazing. He can always fall back and start taking out expansions if this starts to go sour, and the zealot rally just continues. So much damage being done here to Rush, but it looks like Rush is going to be able to stabilize. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. This is brutal. That Arbiter being so annoying, Rush having to constantly scan, and now the tanks actually lose vision running forward. Gonna get target fired by those goons. All of the tanks are gone, and Rush, GG's. Oh my goodness, hitting that amazing timing. Best really just breaking through from the top side. No buildings to defend those tanks. The vultures were out of place, and not enough mines to really delay the push out of Best. Amazing play from Best. Let's jump over for game 2 on Whiteout. In the top right, we have our white Protoss player Best, and in the top left, we have our green Terran player Rush. In that last game, if that was a conversation, we really saw Best explaining to Rush why he can't take that quick 4th on Neo Sylphid. He was just too far spread out. The army really couldn't all shoot at the same time, and Best with his first Arbiter really just coming from that top side, pushing all the way through to his natural. I mean, we did see some great vulture harass. I guess I should clarify, dropship vulture harass from Rush. It actually did a reasonable amount of damage, but from there we didn't see any additional harassment from Rush. Best was really allowed to take the map, and using harassment as a strategy to push the Protoss player back to buy himself time, Rush wasn't able to do that. And so Best, as soon as he hit that macro, that huge army swell from those gateways, he was just be able to walk over Rush. Rush perhaps being a little greedy in that game, trying to get a 3rd and a 4th as fast as the Protoss player, and not having the upgrades to really back it up. Neo Sylphid's a hard map, I believe, for a Terran player. We don't have many harassment potential in that game, which I think is why Rush went up and got a quick dropship. On this game, at least, Whiteout, a less familiar map for me, but we do see a lot of pro games on this map. It was an ASL map, so it does have those very strange forest areas with reduced vision, which can be a little tricky, I think, as a Terran player. You don't necessarily have that many flying units until you have vessels, so those earlier time pushes really need to avoid that area or rely on something like Comsat. We do see his SCV coming out a little early, so perhaps a forward barracks here. Maybe opting to get some kind of like a bunker expand, walling in a bit so that those goons can't just run by. And it's going to be interesting to see if he goes ahead and gets a gas or he just wants that early command center. Over on the Protoss side, we see everything totally standard because he didn't send out that earlier probe. In the last game, we saw that gas steal. This game, everything totally standard out of best. And it's Rush, the first player to send out a SCV to go for a scout. Hasn't dropped that gas yet, so it looks like he is going to grab that command center after this barracks and go for quite a big economy to help him in that mid game. What does he have to do in this game? Well, Whiteout I think is a stronger map for Vulture Harass. We're gonna have to see though. I think Rush is a player that really relies on that to get him into the late game with a economic advantage. Someone like Best, playing against Best, I don't think you really want to play an even game. And I think Rush is definitely going to have to change things up a little bit. Maybe even get more damage done, which is a lot. He did kill 5 or 6 probes for basically nothing. But he's gonna have to do some serious damage here. Best is just such a strong Protoss player. Really one of the best, and he's been the best since 2007, 2008. He was never the best, but at least maybe top 3. That command center getting dropped down, and we are going to see Best get the scout first, and Rush is still running across the map trying to find the Protoss's main. That gas should be dropped any second here. We do see Best coming in with that probe, and that's likely going to force Rush to drop the refinery? Maybe they're going to... Oh my... Are you... Ow, this is brutal for Rush. Maybe just not having quite enough minerals to grab it at the moment, but this is just going to be so annoying. He can at least take his natural gas if he needs to, and that can at least catch him up. Getting that earlier second gas can catch him up, but these Marines are going to have to run back to the main now to kill that Oh my goodness, is he... Okay. Oh, I thought he was going to drop the second assimilator, which would just be completely savage. Best, you monster. He is getting that goon range, which is going to force a bunker to come down. And I'm surprised the bunker hasn't been started yet, because this goon is on the way, but it looks like here it goes, dropping that bunker. And he's going to have some Marines at the front, and he's really not going to be able to take down this assimilator for a little while as soon as this goon starts its pressure on the bunker. Hold on, does he not even have a goon yet? Oh my goodness, I don't even see a goon. So my apologies, looks like this goon is a little bit later, having to maybe delay it for that assimilator. Command center is about done though, and we do see the goon finally popping out here. Bunker's already done, already in time. Looks like he's getting some gas as soon as he can. And yeah, that gas is finished, and now one of those Marines is picking away at the assimilator. Back in Best base, it looks like he just wants to get out some goons here. And start hitting away at the bunker, and we do see that probe coming out to his natural, so likely to grab the Nexus. But as far as builds go, this does look like a great advantage for Rush. The Dragoons are not even hitting this bunker yet. I guess goon isn't finished, goon range isn't finished, so I shouldn't jump to that conclusion. It is only 4 minutes into the game. But yeah, I think Rush is going to be really happy with this opening. Finally getting that first factory, maybe only slightly delayed. Having the second gas is totally fine. And he is going to scout everything from Best's side. So know exactly how he wants to respond to one getting spanned from Best. That SCV does get picked off. We still see this Marine picking away at this assimilator. And a lot of times we do see a second factory coming down. It looks like he's just a little bit of gas away from that second factory. And then from there, we're going to have to see what he decides to do when it comes to those upgrades out of the machine shop. That goon range is finally finished now, and he's going to start picking away at these bunkers. We see some SCVs getting pulled. Nexus has been dropped a little while ago from Best, and we're going to have to see how these players transition into the mid-game. Does Best want to grab a quick Nexus, or does he want to go up to more standard 3 gates and Observer? In the last game, we did see that Observatory, the Citadel of Doom, come down totally normal, and Best transition into that third base. But these goons are continuing to pick away here. The second one is here, which means another SCV. You really just need 1 SCV per goon firing, and then you just need to make sure your SCVs are actually repairing, because once that bunker gets full health, they stop repairing, which can be a little bit annoying as a Terran player. You don't really have auto repair like you do in StarCraft 2. Machine shop now going down. What's his gas sitting? He has a ton of gas right now. That second factory, totally standard, coming out of Rush. He did make 4 Marines. but with the fast expansion, makes a lot of sense. Now 3 goons here. We see the SCV. Look at this little dance. 3 goons, 3 SCVs, everything equal. All things are equal in this game so far. Robotics facility actually starting a shuttle. So this is going to be neat. We're going to likely see Best's Reaver control in this game. And we do see a lot of shuttle play on this map. I think specifically in these positions, Rush's main is exposed to that dropship. So I think Best is going to be in a great spot here to do some harassment. And we do have these sort of high ground areas that can be a little bit annoying for defending against shuttle or dropship play. So I think Best is definitely playing this build specific to this map. Shuttle about... Oh, there's the robotic support bay. I was getting a little worried. Where is this bay? Using it as part of the wall off is actually pretty unlikely to be scouted, especially with these goons at the front. Rush doesn't have an SCV out on the map, and it looks like Best wants to send a probe out on the map. So we're going to see where does he want to go for his third base. The Reaver has begun and now starting that observatory to see all of the things. Engineering bay already done for Rush. And going ahead and getting those vulture upgrades. Siege mode's already done. Ooh, look at that positioning from the siege tank. That's a unique positioning. Kind of cool, actually. At least covering this side from the shuttle. And it looks like... Ooh. Best wanting to do some damage here. Looks like he... Yeah, doesn't take any damage on those goons, just shuttle. Taking the high ground with the gas, I think that makes a lot of sense as a Protoss player. This is very easy to wall in with pylons to stop any kind of vulture harass, which means Rush would need a starport to do any kind of harassment on that third. Plus it has gas, so it's... oh, this base does have a gas as well. My apologies. Learning the map. Terran player is definitely going to be taking that pocket expand, though. Super easy to defend from the high ground. So he's still sitting just on that 1 gate. It looks like now he finally has enough minerals to start adding more gateways because he did go 1 gate Reaver to the second Nexus. A little mineral intensive from the shuttle and the Reaver. And now these vultures are actually out on the map. I think he did, yes again, go ahead, get range first. So this range, or not range, excuse me. That vulture speed is finished now and he's going to rushing across the map, trying to get here before that pylon wall gets up. But we do see the shuttle on its way. So a bit of mutual harassment here from both players. Rush does see the shuttle, but the pylon wall gets up in time, and now the shuttle's turn to do some damage. The turret is not great position for Reaver harass, actually, and now that Reaver is going to take down that turret immediately, which is really going to give Best free reign here. That Dragoon running forward to see if there's any siege tanks at this moment, but now just targeting those supply depots. Rush bringing along the tanks to siege up, but Best can just lift up here and continue the harassment. A couple vulnerable supply depots here. Not opting to get a starport in this game, so he really can't use a Wraith to defend this harassment, but he does have an armory actually. So we're seeing a lot more standard of play from Rush. Standard as far as I'm concerned. I mean, starport is becoming a lot more standard these days, but he does have Goliaths popping out just in time, and this shuttle's totally exposed. Actually, oh my goodness, it's going to be targeted by the turret and the 2 Goliaths. The shuttle immediately goes down. He does get both units in a great Reaver shot, hitting that, but this Reaver is gone. Oh my goodness, this is so bad for Best. He really needed that Reaver to help him defend his third. These vultures still picking away at those pylons. But great Goliath timing. We see him getting +1 weapons, and I really wasn't expecting this out of Rush. So perhaps surprising Best, playing a lot more standard, having the early armory to begin upgrades. And now I think Rush is going to have all sorts of options available to him. He goes ahead and drops that early command center, but losing that shuttle means he could have even gone up to 4 factories and done a really strong 2 base timing, and Protoss really won't have enough units to defend. We see these vultures actually getting in here and getting 1 probe kill, 2 probe kills, so a little free damage. And he's getting a total scout of all of Best's units. So that's his entire army he's seen there. About a half a dozen goons, and that's really all Best has. But I think Rush wants to get this to the late game. He wants to prove to us that no, I am a macro Terran. I can take Best in a late game situation here. And look at that. +1 weapons about 3/4 done. We don't see that starport actually starting yet. There it is. So maybe a teensy bit late. Usually wanting to start that starport when +1 weapons is about half done, and then starting your second armory when you start that engineering bay. Look at this turret ring though, really making, you know, Best could opt to go get another shuttle. In this case, I don't think he has done that. But actually, Best wants to get aggressive here. Those tanks were unsieged. One of those tanks is going to go down immediately. The second tank is getting target fired. It's down as well. The third tank gone. Oh my goodness, Best with so few units is making so much happening. Are you kidding me, Rush? Is that it? Nothing on the high ground. Oh, Best, he expanded. He lost the shuttle. He has 6 goons and he just killed all of Rush's tanks. This is unbelievable, Best. You're just too good. You're just too good. This is so ridiculous. Now Rush is gonna have to cancel that command center and everything going for Best in a moment. What a great flank from the south. Rush was not ready for it, and because he built that command center on the low ground, he lost it. That's so brutal. I think he definitely, if he was in position, that command center would have been totally fine. Those goons would have done nothing, but he didn't even have a tank on the high ground to help with that defense, and he loses everything. He's going to really rely on a 2-1 timing now because he cannot be aggressive at all. That starport is done. We see that science facility now being finished, but the armory is sitting idle. Like I mentioned, if you're a Terran player, when that upgrade is halfway done, you start your starport. And now Rush is kind of paying the price. He doesn't have the command center. He's now adding a couple factories, and in this case, he is building that command center in the high ground, so he doesn't have to overextend. But oh my goodness, this is looking so bad for Rush. Best taking a huge advantage in this mid game, and now the floodgates have opened. 3 gateways being added, the Stargate being added, a forge being added. I missed it. He's transitioning to carriers. Kills all the tanks, kills the third. Let's build some carriers. This game is over. Now taking a fourth. I'm actually amazed that all these bases have gas. So Whiteout really looks like a great map. So much gas available. Really not having to compromise on what bases you take. You can take basically any base on this map because you get a gas here. 5, 6 factories now finished. Starting a dropship now. So I think this is exactly what Rush needs to do. He really needs to set himself up for a late game push. We do see +2 weapons on the way. I'm not sure if he's got that second armory. He does, and yes, +1 armor is on the way. Look at this positioning from the goons, completely blocking off this attack path. But this dropship is going to be great for Rush. I mean, there's so many places he can drop a tank with some vulture support to do a ton of damage on this map. These high grounds are great, and if he drops back here, the Dragoons cannot get in there to defend. He does have some great positioned goons up here, and we do see that shuttle actually heading to the north, which may be unfortunate because Best is really vulnerable at his third and his fourth, but Rush is going to Best's natural, which is really the place he's defended well. That third is getting floated over. Look at the macro from Rush, really recovering from losing all those starports. Now he is floating this command center, so he's going to be able to get his third up. And it looks like perhaps he just scanned and saw that, so that dropship is turning around. No way can I do any damage at that natural. But the carriers, 2 carriers already done. It looks like, yes, the upgrade is finished for interceptors, so we will be able to get 8 interceptors on both those carriers. And everything's going to change here. We see those Goliaths being produced, so he must have scanned the carriers. Perhaps that's why he turned around, not necessarily scanning the Dragoons, but if he has carriers at his natural, Rush is not going to be able to do anything with those interceptors. Getting a little active with vultures, yes, this is what he needs to do. He needs to pull the Protoss player apart at the seams, hitting multiple places, and we see this dropship now heading to that vulnerable 4th base, and only a couple cannons here. But these carriers are heading straight to Rush's main. He does have a good dose of Goliaths, so he's not going to be in too much trouble here, having scouted. And when we look at the supplies, actually, Rush has made a great recovery. recovery. It's really going to come down to whether or not he can deal with these carriers, and a ton of turrets being added, which is definitely going to slow the advance of these carriers. Actually, a ton of units being produced out of these gateways. I mean, Best just has an amazing economy here. Oh no, what happened to the dropship? Okay, here it is. Just denying that 5th base. But Best is starting to move units around, so he's going to be well prepared to defend against the dropship now that he's scouted it. And yeah, starting to add a lot of zealots. Does he have that zealot leg speed on the way? We do see it, about 1/3 of the way done. Those carriers now out in the middle of the map. He's up to 4 and just starting to plant mines at the potential next expansions for Best. But Best's army, yeah, he is not far from max. Rush does have +2 weapons almost finished, so he's going to have every tool he needs to fight this carrier army. This is really what Flash showed us is the way to fight carriers, is to do a quick 2-1 timing and have a good healthy dose of Marines. But the economy is really where Best can take the advantage here. We see him producing a ton of units out of those gateways while he is making these carriers, so he's just going to have a great mix of army of air and ground, and it's going to be really hard for Rush to really fight this. Starting to build a wall here, even adding turrets at his wall, and Best wants a fight. Look at this. Supply is about max. He has this probe trying to take his 5th base, and at the same time Rush sending out some vultures to start scouting out the map. But no, he's bringing them home. I think he senses this. The army's moving out. Where are your Goliaths? Here they are. Range upgrade done. Gonna start focusing on the interceptors here. But I mean, Best's economy can really support remaking. Now, running forward with these the Goliaths, actually target firing one of these carriers. It is going to go down if he can just get... Yes, it goes down. But now the Zealots are on top of the Goliaths, and they're slightly out of position. There is a huge amount of Goliaths, actually. Rush's macro really showing up here today, and Best really needs to get out of here. He can't bust this position. This is awesome from Rush. We're really seeing the macro game I wanted to see in the last series on Neo Sylphid. But now this is going to be really interesting. Rush already picking off one of those carriers, so he is down to 5. I think there's 5 here, but maybe there's only 4. I guess I think I can select them all, can't I? Yes, there is only 4. And now sending out that SCV, so he wants to expand behind this, but now these carriers, so effective at countering, are just going to go into the main and do some damage, pulling those Goliaths back, and that's so annoying. Oh, Rush. Oh, Rush. I think Rush is ready to make a move here. 2-1 is complete, likely already starting. No, he hasn't started +3 weapons yet, but now moving out in the map. In the center of the map is really where he wants a fight against the carriers, but Zealot Legs is done, and a good, healthy army from Best, looking to counter, actually, but Rush sieging up so on top of that now, ready to fight. Look at this expansion going down for Best. While all this is going on, so many Goliaths. He's got just a great mix of units, actually. Rush, target fire. He needs a scan here. Those tanks are actually completely out of position, and now Best is countering the 3rd, and is completely exposed, having to pull that army back. Oh no, a bit of mispositioning from Rush, and now he can target fire this command center if he wants, and it could go down a 2nd time. Oh my goodness, these Goliaths trying to reduce the interceptor count and doing a good job of it. And Best really isn't doing that much damage. I mean, he's getting quite a few SCVs. We do see that. But Rush has a great SCV count, so not being able to get much done. And he needs to get out of there. Yes, Best so on top of getting what damage he can and then retreating. While this is going on, Rush is securing a 4th, and that is crucial. I mean, if the attacks continue at his natural, this 4th is going to be totally safe. Look at the supplies, actually. They are totally even. As a carrier player, I mean, you're going to have a lower supply than if you were just Gateway Man. But, oh boy, look at the scan, giving him vision in this strange forest area. And Rush is ready to go. He's actually taken a supply lead now. Where it looks like a dropship. Oh my goodness, a dropship while all that was going on. Rush, you are so good. Look at this base. No probes at it. It does look like he took a ton of probe damage, now sitting at 50 probes. This is amazing for Rush. He is in a great position, now going straight to the natural. Best is moving his army to counter at the 4th, but can Rush actually break these carriers? He is sending those interceptors out. Oh my goodness, 9 carriers. that looks like too much. I mean, you can have 2 control groups of Goliaths here, but these carriers on this high ground is going to be so brutal. I don't know if he can actually fight this. Look at the Goliaths just evaporating so many interceptors. I mean, more Goliaths are coming in, but he's just target firing the interceptors. Best has the economy to support rebuilding the interceptors. I don't think this is really a winning strategy here from Best, from Rush. Now sieging, he may get the next, but the Dark Templar coming at the same time. Oh my goodness, Best, you are on top of this. Look at this counter at the same, everything is falling apart for Rush. The 4th was completely denied, and now as long as he can clean this push up, which he is doing, the Goliath count is now down to 10. These carriers still sitting completely undamaged, only losing interceptors here. Best economy is just pushing through, and Rush, nothing left. He's gonna have to run. This is brutal. This is brutal. Those tanks are gonna be completely exposed any moment now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, trying to defend that 4th. It looks like he was able to clean this up while all this is going on. So much going on in the map. Best's 5th base is up. He does get the Nexus. I mean, that is a little bit of a win for Rush. Awesome. But as long as Best can rebuild this probe count, he is sitting below 50. I think he's going to be in completely fine shape with this many carriers. Oh my goodness. Still hasn't lost a carrier. Good positioning from these Goliaths. They can't dive on top of these carriers if he wants. But Best is moving out. These Goliaths being target fire, trying to get on top of one of those Goliaths. He does get a couple good shots, having to back up. The carrier's in a vulnerable position, but I think there's just so many, it really doesn't matter. But look at this, actually, Rush is scouting this base, and he is bringing those tanks, so he might actually be able to kill another base. I mean, the supplies are still very even, but with those carriers, it may be a little deceiving. Starting to build up that probe count. We see that huge transfer going to the 3rd after losing all those probes to that dropship. And now into the forested area. I mean, there's more carriers than Goliaths here. This is brutal. Utterly brutal. And yeah, I think Rush saw it. Wow, what an incredible game. I mean, for Rush to be able to macro and really put himself in a position where he could have won is insane. Rush playing so well, but I think Best with that incredible maneuver with the goons over at the 3rd, killing all of the tanks and denying the 3rd was just an incredible play from Best, making something out of nothing while he was taking his 3rd. Incredible play. That's it for this round. Best taking down Rush in 2 games, but I think this 2nd game really did show some of Rush's skill, using that dropship to do a ton of damage at the 3rd, and really putting up a good fight. Best with the better economy, eventually pushing through. My name is Archaic. I'll see you for our next video for StarCastTV. Have an amazing day.